Now entering Nerdist.com.
Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Look at this clock. Look at this clock taunting us.
8:57
on my
AM.
only day off until August 14th.
Holy hell.
I mean,
August
weekday
14th.
off. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
obviously weekends.
Right, because you're in a union. So,
Yes.
right. So it's not like you're
The
working the
union
textile.
steps in. You've written one more joke today than you're authorized to. Go on strike.
Please step away. Step away. It's so you flew in yesterday, right?
Last night from New York. I had a little weekend there.
How did your charging situation go? I was following it on Twitter.
Oh my God! Yes, I found it. I was at JFK.
Okay.
Well, can I tell you the whole weekend flight situation?
Please. Oh, was there?
So I'm realizing, all right, I'm going to be a bi-coastal comedian, you know? So that, I'm trying to fine tune my commute so it's as painless as possible.
Double your dick jokes. Bi-coastal. See what I did there? I'll be over here.
I do.
Okay.
And
Very polite laughter. Well played.
I gave you as much as you needed. You're
And more than I
professional.
deserved.
You know that wasn't
More than I
brilliant.
deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
We're partners on a podcast here. Sometimes we have to give each other some leeway. It's 8:58. You don't have to be funny for 2 more minutes because we officially weren't going to meet till 9.
Oh, that's right. Till 9.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I take the red eye out, and I've decided that JetBlue has this thing where you can pay $80 and get a seat with more leg room.
Nice.
But I realized that I don't use that leg room really. If I don't have anything under my seat, if I only
okay.
bring on my backpack,
Yeah.
and I
Put
and
it
the back,
over.
you put it overhead, then I have the seat free. I'm okay because it's not like I'm kicking my legs out longer. I'm
But
always
you're pretty tall, so you're. But if you feel
if I
cool,
don't have anything under the seat,
You're
it
fine.
doesn't. Yeah.
okay.
And especially at night, because it's not like I'm going to pull out the laptop and watch TV at night, right?
Right.
So on a night flight, I don't need that extra leg. So I've decided, all right, that shaves $80 off the flight.
Save a shekel.
Right? But I have to get an aisle seat.
Okay. So you can come and go as you please.
Yes, yeah, and I stick one of my legs in the aisles.
I had a disappointment to the as Kyle nods as a giant man. How
No,
tall
you-
are you? 6'5"?
Yeah,
6.
you have to stick a leg out in the aisle.
Yeah, you're tall
that's-
people.
Yeah, okay. So then my flight out was delayed 6 hours. Wow. So we
And
didn't
wait.
leave till like 2:30 in the morning.
2:30, and JetBlue had not let you in
they
on
didn't.
this.
They didn't let me know till I got to Burbank. Like they had conflicting information, and you don't want to accidentally because
You
if
don't
you
wanna
don't
miss
miss your
it.
flight, you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
So that sucked a lot. And then the flight back, I had the same aisle seat, 7D. That's my jam.
That's your go-to.
Yeah, I like my left leg out. And these 2 women who are friends, one of them says, can we switch with you? Did you want the window? Like, you know how you've tried to oversell
trying to
your
sell.
shitty seat? Do you want the window? I said, no, I get claustrophobic in the window. She goes,
Yeah.
well, my friend and I, we go to the bathroom a lot. I
Yeah.
go, oh, that's okay. I don't mind standing. I stand and hover and rock in the middle of the aisle.
Plan slightly
constantly.
two
Yeah.
people who want to sit next to each other.
And but they did pee together 3 times. Like, I don't know what UTI you two are having or sharing, but why do both of you have to go to the bathroom at the same time?
Right, and they're single seaters, ladies.
Yeah.
It's not like one of them standing outside the door talking like my brother used to do to my stepmother.
Wait, on a plane?
Well, they're single seaters, right? I mean, is she
The
standing,
bathroom?
Right, the bathroom. Like,
Yeah,
it's not like she's standing outside the bathroom going, so did you see that one episode of
Oh, right. Yeah.
So why did they need to go together? That's so weird.
I think they were so appalled that I didn't switch seats because they were cute.
Wasn't there another one?
And I think no, it's full flights.
was it only 3 seats, or was there no one else
there's
to harass?
three. Yeah, I'm in D. They're in B and A. Or
Oh.
D, E, and F, right? So I think they're both
I
very
see.
cute, and I'm thinking they thought they'd get some businessman that would be like,
Yeah.
and definitely switch with them. Instead, you got an old lady who knows exactly what fucking seat she wants. I want 7D.
Yeah,
I
because you
picked
need
it.
that leg. That's why you picked it.
Yes.
And they haven't met any old businessmen because those guys travel too much, and they're like, no, I need this aisle seat
They're in first class, yeah.
because my leg needs to come out in the aisle. That's what that dude is.
Anyway,
that's how New York began or finished.
Yeah, that's how it began and finished. And it was fun. I did, I did sets at the Broadway and the Stand, and
Nice.
it was good. And it's just feeling routine now in a good way. Like, this is where I go to feel like myself again.
Yeah.
I have like one picture of my kid and it's turned down unless he comes to visit with me. Then I'll put it up so he knows I think about him. But otherwise, I don't want to be reminded.
Right.
know?
You're
I'm
growing
alone.
up. You're alone.
And then on the ride home, on the flight home, I watched Room on
Okay.
Amazon Prime.
That's
'cause,
that thing that where they keep somebody in a room. right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and it felt like a hard-hitting documentary about my life because I'm trapped in a room with my son, and I have an evil captor down the hall who sloughs down to my
Right.
room in her slippers, asking if I turned the coffee on yet.
Did you?
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
a good
always
sport?
up early.
You're
Yeah.
always up early turning
Yeah.
the coffee on. Good
Yeah.
for you. Good for you.
It was cool. How was your weekend?
Well, it was fraught with peril. No,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't. It was fine. What did I do? I did the Van Sanders show. He has a new show over at the Barclay in South Pasadena.
Oh yeah, I think I've done that.
It was great. It was with Chip Pope and Ron Babcock and April Richardson, and everybody had great sets.
Fun.
And the Barclay looks like it ought to be. Let me talk about the restaurant. It looks like it ought to be a steak joint. It isn't. It's disappointingly because it has that good dank that like the mob should hang out there.
Good dank.
It's got the good
That
dank.
is my favorite word combo.
Wow.
Oh my
Maybe
God.
That's what this episode could be called the Good Dank.
Dude,
because
you're asking Twitter for a name for your CD. Good dank.
the Good
Don't
Dank.
fuck this podcast. Say good dank for your CD.
I don't know. It's a little obscure because you get it.
I
Because
don't
it's,
get it. I don't even know what it means. I just like.
Well, like this Comedy Cellar, or
Yes.
like
Yeah,
you go
okay,
to a
all right,
comedy
so-
club.
okay.
It's
I
low
thought-
ceilings. Somebody smoked there for 70
Yes.
years. The Good Dank.
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
like somebody's going to pay you with a gun on the table. That gets inappropriate.
But that's intriguing. If you're buying a CD, a comedy CD, I think you kind of have an idea what dank means.
Sure,
And
dank
so-
means dank. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose. I mean, and I don't want stupid people buying my CD. Yes, I do.
You want.
I want
yeah.
anyone and their grandmother.
You can't.
Yes.
Okay, so
exactly.
anyway,
So-
you're at the Barclay.
I'm at the
And
Barclay,
you're
and I'm
offended that they don't
disappointed.
serve steak. This is
They don't
what's
have a
got
good
you angry
steak.
in this world
They don't have a. They don't
of
have a-
ISIS attacks and
Yes, and
and Florida's
injustice.
fathers shooting their sons.
Right. Well, and I've taken to doing this thing on Facebook where if I put a political post, you support me, you don't support me, I delete the comments.
I delete comments too. It's my page.
Yeah, it's my page.
Yeah, I'm not putting up
and,
with your
and I
shit.
I just had an interaction with a friend of mine who is like, I put a link with a good percentage about how it was wrong, and I said, In other news, it's still my page. So someone putting a link to a percentage where it's right, then you guys are going to get into
Yeah,
it.
you're not
and I'm
obligated
not-
to be polite to anyone on your page.
Yeah,
that you don't know. Or you
I said,
handle
let's
yourself
go-
how you want to, but
let-
it's your fucking
yeah,
page.
It's my page. Let's just have breakfast at the end of the month when you come to town, and then you could tell me all about how you like that weird libertarian guy. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
That guy's not bad, but you
Gary
know,
Johnson. Yeah.
he'll take votes away from Trump more than Hill, I think.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I suppose, but I was so I got a club sandwich. It's a great ending.
Oh
to
my
this story. I'm
God.
gonna. Does anybody want to start the story? Anyway,
We just
so,
lost our 14 listeners to your
and then
club
I did
sandwich story.
Okay, how about Phil Hendry? Do you remember that guy?
Yes, I
Okay.
like that guy.
I
just
opened-
did he has a show at the Improv every once in a while.
That's what I did. Phil Hendry and Friends.
Yeah, it's fun.
And I said to him, "We are now friends." You didn't know it, but Phil Hendry, very funny guy.
Yeah.
and super nice. And then I did Meltdown with Sean Patton and Jamie Lee and Mike O'Brien and Courtney Carwall. Am I pronouncing that right?
I don't know.
Okay, and Ahmed.
Kyle
Barucha.
nodded in Ascension. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And Ahmed Barucha. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And that was a hell of a show. That was a weird show where
Sounds like an unpronounceable show to you.
it was a little unpronounceable, but it was themed, but it wasn't that. You got to do your act.
Yeah.
But what it was is there were suggestions from the audience. It was called Luck of the Draw.
Yeah.
And the audience would say, "Do your act in the dark. Do your act with the voices or something." And Sean Patton got, I think he got funny voices, and he said, "What you're doing is you're ruining my act." What I got was that I had to play a board game with someone in the audience
While
And
you're doing your
while I
act.
was doing so. I'm like trying to pull a Jenga piece while telling
Don't
my-
approve of the audience having this much control over us. You know what? I haven't finished watching Comedians with Cars with Margaret Cho, where
Oh, yeah?
she dialogued with the audience. You know, like
Oh. Yeah.
here's our relationship. I talk, you shut the fuck up and laugh. That's our relationship. You don't
Yeah.
suggest things to me. You don't talk to me.
Afterwards, tell me you like most of my
No,
set.
I'm hiding from you. Don't even talk
That's
to
true.
me then.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. You don't even sell merch. So
No.
it's not the hostage
I have an idea for a
situation.
shirt, but I have no place to sell it
Right.
because I'm barely doing any regular road
Right, you're not
gigs.
doing. Yeah, you need more road gigs.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot. I had it. Oh, I saw this weekend. I saw Ben Bailey. Do you know Ben Bailey?
Yeah.
He used to host
Didn't
Cash
he-
Cab.
The cab thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Taxi.
super funny.
Oh, good.
And I have like this. I've
never seen him do stand-up.
Oh, so funny.
Oh, good.
So great. Just a joke. Just punch
Yeah.
on punch on punch on punch on. He's just a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave birth to my son the same day his wife had her baby at the same hospital. So I remember
weird.
my son's father coming and going, Ben Bailey's here. Because his wife was in labor too. So our kids are exactly the same age.
Wow.
So I always have
And
like
you guys
this,
didn't
feel
switch.
like I have this.
You didn't switch babies, did you? Are you raising Ben Bailey's
Oh my
baby?
God. I'm raising Ben's son.
You're raising Ben's.
So but it was just cool. Again, like I love how popular comedy is. I love the new comics. I
Right.
love the new energy.
Yeah.
I love that you guys don't give a shit about our old rules that we were raised by. You
Yeah.
don't give a fuck. But sometimes it's so nice to just talk with someone you've known for 15 or 20 years.
Right, and 15
someone
or
that's
20
your
years,
age.
they'll love. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
and
what they'll
it
love.
feels so good because
Right.
every time I go to every club now, it's like I'm like meeting new people, and you know, and
Yeah.
it gets tiresome in a way to
Well-
just always be. When I see Judah, I'm like, I almost like jump into people's arms now that I've known for more than 10 years
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and go, you're still alive. We're still
Right.
here.
If I see Chad Daniels or Pete Lee or
Yeah.
just any of those.
Pete Lee, I saw. Yes. Well,
Oh.
Pete Lee, I would consider new.
Oh well, he's
He's from Minneapolis.
but he's a Minneapolis comic,
So he's
but
old
he's
to you.
easily the generation under me. After
Yes.
too.
Well, Pete
Yeah.
Lee's actually becoming,
would
because I
Chad.
keep seeing him, he's becoming old guard now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Ben Bailey's definitely old guard.
And I've known Pete for almost 15 years.
Yeah,
so
that
if
counts.
not more. Yeah, so it's yeah. But whenever I see those guys, I'm like, I am on board, fellas.
I know.
And,
I saw when I see
worked with
Pardo,
Wendy-
you know, I love seeing Pardo.
Wendy Liebman, saw her
Yes.
over the weekend. Worked
But
with,
you know what? I just met Wendy Liebman like in the last 5 years.
right. She's like us in the fact that we never worked
Right.
together.
Right.
And because they would never have women feature for another woman back 1,000 years ago. And it was, so I just have only recently gotten, I knew Kathy Ladman more just because she's a Minneapolis comic.
Kathy Ladman's from Minneapolis?
Yeah, comedy wise. Yeah, she's
I
New
thought
York.
she was from
Yeah, she's New York comic, but she's also a Minneapolis
Oh.
comic. She lived in Minneapolis for a long time.
Oh.
And or that's when I met her. And so I know her fairly well.
Yeah. But when I see all these like female headliners and their female features, I'm like, you're so lucky.
It's so great.
It must be so fun, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Dang, I wish it was like that when we were featuring.
Well, we'll feature again.
You're so right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm on the way down to featuring. Oh man.
Well, it's as long as you still get to do comedy.
You're right.
It's a tight 30. I'm in. What do you need?
I'm gonna work on my raffle skills because clearly I'll be emceeing in about 5.5 years and giving people their bottle of watered down champagne.
Right. Oh, what did I? Oh, I saw this thing on. So, and then I did just sort of just walking around. I was just talking to comics, right?
Yeah.
I had a lunch. There were some comics, and someone did that fucking joke about women using they're like, you know,
At
women,
lunch?
It was at lunch, and they were
Wait, a
just,
comic was doing a hack joke at lunch? This person must be poisoned.
possibly.
Unless, were they doing it ironically to make fun of the joke?
Nope.
Oh.
They were just like,
Come on, man.
It was brutal. It was slightly brutal.
You got to
and
write the name down so I can see.
There'll be a day. And so if I can remember it, the good news about me is that I'll
forget
meet him
everything.
again.
You're like a goldfish.
And it'll be, right. Oh, look, a castle. Ellen DeGeneres joke from the 90s. And but And when I meet him again, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt again. So it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it was, I could talk. I grew up with 4 brothers with 1 bathroom. So, it's not like if I wanted to do bathroom jokes about people spending a lot of time in the bathroom, there's a gold mine. I don't know if you know this, but young men tend to masturbate a fair amount.
I don't want to hear that. I'm growing a young man in my house right now.
Have you heard that premise before? Or is that new ground? New ground.
You know what? When my son starts jerking off 24/7, it's going to be new ground.
It's one of my favorite stories was my oldest, one of my older brothers. His wife said, "Hey, I found a condom in the garbage can in one of my nephew's rooms. I got to talk to him. What is he having sex? Is he having sex?" And my brother was like, "Let me talk. Can I at least be the one to talk to him?" So he goes to pick him up at karate, and he goes, "Hey, weird thing happened." They're in the car, uncomfortable silence. Weird thing happened. Your mom found a condom in your garbage can, and my nephew was like, "Well, why is she in my room?" He's like, "Well, if you'd clean your room, she wouldn't go in your room." So I just want to say that if you're in there jerking off, that's fine. That's tidy even. But if you're experimenting with your friends, we should probably talk, like a circle jerk. That's where my brother's mind went. And I just named him.
You might want to bleep that.
Yeah, go for it. So the young man at the time, he was like, raised by the biggest hippie liberals in the world, just made my brother goes, he made a face like a balloon animal. And he's like, experimenting with my friends? No, I was jerking off. Leave me alone.
Oh, my God.
So, I don't know.
That's coming. Mm-hmm. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. But that's where I'm at.
That must have been why in the room she escaped. She taught her son to escape at age 5. Like, she knew jerk offs were coming. She's like, I can't be in a room with a 15-year-old boy.
Oh, in one room?
My God.
Yeah. Let's get out of here before puberty hits. So I also had breakfast with this writer who I will tell you later. Mm-hmm. And she's writing on this. I guess there's some movie coming out about stand-up comedy in 1973.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And
I'm always optimistic about stand-up movies and always disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, if someone could really do it, that would be great.
My friend Jim Wooster has a theory why stand-up comedy movies don't work is that no one's willing to give up their A material.
I would never.
You're like, no, you can't have that joke.
Yeah.
And so then they're stuck with B material.
So
and then,
true.
And then there's this disconnect. You're already watching something on television, so stand-up isn't as live. And then you're watching it through a character watching it.
I wonder then, could you do all the story is all actors and that's all written, but then the stand-up you see is like from a George Carlin DVD
special.
Special.
Okay.
You just get permission.
Oh, you just take stuff.
And actually, you take. Is there any footage of Richard Pryor at the store just fucking around? Get permission, use that footage, and then create the narrative around that.
That'd be amazing. I don't know that there is that footage, but that skateboard movie, everybody had cameras in the early 70s.
The skateboard movie.
What's the Dogtown and Z-Boys? Dogtown
and saw that.
That's a documentary where these are supposedly poor kids who surf and then skateboard in swimming pools.
Yeah.
They all have cameras in 1972 because they live in Venice.
Cameras.
And they're just filming each other. And
Craig Stesic followed them around. He was a famous photographer.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
So he had cameras.
Yeah.
What was he? All right. It's no, I'm gonna.
Are you still holding on to your cynicism about rich kids in Venice, Jackie? Now
yes,
you've been disproven.
In the early 70s. Yes, exactly. Please post on my Facebook wall about how I'm wrong. If you could spend some time doing that. But so I'm meeting with her, and she's talking about how this. And
Wait,
at first I was furious.
Why were you meeting with her?
Oh, just to have breakfast.
You knew her?
Yeah,
oh,
she's a friend of Laura House's.
Okay.
So we were all just having breakfast.
Okay.
And I like a comedy lunch. I like a comedy breakfast. I like a comedy gathering of comics.
Yeah.
And because I don't have a lot of social skills, so I'm just like, let's eat. Let's eat and then stare at each other.
I like
And,
that. So you're practicing being a human being.
Yes.
Even now at this age,
Even
you're
now.
like, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to get this.
Almost now.
I'm gonna nail this.
I've only started. It's only been 12 years of this of me trying to be a person. Matter of fact, this woman, because we talked about this. There was a woman comic. She was trying to write for a woman, and she was just like, I'm writing for this woman comic who's only been doing stand-up for 2 years, but she falls into this private. She's doing a corporate, which I guess in 1973 was called an industrial. And so in 73, and then...
So she'd been writing for the woman in 73 had only been doing comedy since 71.
Right, the character in 73.
Okay.
The character in the movie. So this woman's trying to write from that woman's perspective.
Okay.
And so she said she gets shoved into this corporate, and then somebody heckles her.
Right.
What would the heckles be, and what would the responses be? And I myself did not give her my best heckler
Oh, of
response
course you wouldn't.
because I need them.
Yes. Oh my God.
I was like, no, you're gonna have to write your own.
If you're
I was
being
like,
paid $200,000 to write a screenplay, you don't put your best shit in there.
okay, good
Much
to know.
less giving it to somebody else.
Free,
For free.
right? I was like, and she had some weird like stock heckler responses from the 50s.
And you're
And-
like, those are good. Thumbs up.
I gave her stock heckler responses from the 80s.
Like, I don't come to where you work. And
Yes,
stick
I don't
the
come
dick
jump
in
on the.
ba, ba, ba,
I
ba,
don't
ba.
jump on the bed when you're trying to work. There was the one. What was the? And I think I gave her half of a good line. Whatever, but she was like, "Well, what do you think the hecklers would say in the '70s?" And I came up with actually a pretty good premise because in the '80s, someone once said this to me when I had only been doing it for a couple of years. Some guy said, if you had a husband, you wouldn't have to do whatever this is
Yeah.
or whatever. And I was like, I bet you in 73, if you were a woman comic, you got that much
my
more than I
God.
did in 1985.
Could they even have credit cards in 73? When did women... When were
74.
women...
74 was when women got to get their own credit cards. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
How do you fucking rent a car without your own card? Unless you're married, unless you're Mrs. somebody.
right, your brother or your dad or your missus and your husband.
Fucking Saudi Arabia.
A little-
Jesus
Right,
Christ.
it was brutal. It was pretty grim. I mean, the more I study like sort of the history of feminism,
And that's
yeah.
that's
'Cause
the
in my
world
life-
Hillary Clinton became an
Right.
adult in, is that fucking world.
right. It was something like, was it Harvard or Yale that got desegregated?
Harvard.
It was Harvard in
Yeah.
77.
Yeah, Harvard. Yeah.
They just started letting women in. Yeah, it's brutal. It's grim. So, and then the other thing we were talking, I told her the Roseanne story about how Roseanne blocked me and it was my fault.
Yeah.
And then
You're missing some sweet tweets, man.
Is she on fire? Yeah. Oh, well, that'll happen.
Yeah.
And,
oh my
that's-
God! And today the FBI findings were released this morning. Oh, she's gonna go bananas.
Well,
You're-
about
I'll
about the emails or
I'll take a
something?
screenshot of the good ones. Yeah.
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
It's because she genuinely hates Hillary, right?
yes. Yes.
Yeah, she is on fire.
She
with-
loves
with
Trump.
loathing.
She thinks Hillary's gonna sell out Israel, and
She's going to sell out Israel. I think Israel could protect itself. I think we've armed Israel to the teeth. That if we were to, Israel would take us over.
you're out on your own talking about Israel right now.
What about
I'm
China?
not chiming in on this one.
What about China? It's. I think China's just laughing at us, going, "Yeah, that's what happens every 200 years. You got to regroup in government wise. You know how China
Yeah.
has been around for thousands of years.
Yep.
Anyway." You keep bringing this back to political, but I was going to tell you that. So this woman was talking to me about Roseanne,
Yeah.
and she made fun of Roseanne because I was saying that the couple of times I had met Roseanne,
Yeah.
and I met her with Tom Arnold, and Tom Arnold was so mean to her. Like she never wanted to go up. He would go
Really?
up and make fun of her. Like just do guest sets at the Comedy Gallery in in Minneapolis.
He's a Minneapolis guy, right?
She's from Iowa, and I don't know where the hell he's from. I don't care.
No,
And,
he's from Iowa. He's from Iowa.
is she-
She's out of Denver. Originally
she?
from Utah, and I think it started stand up in Denver.
Well, they were always hanging out in like 88,
Yeah.
87 in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And I went to Minneapolis for a summer, and I got to meet him a couple of times, and then I think in the early 90s when she got the show, they came together. She had just gotten a litany of plastic surgery, and so he was like, "Come on stage, you don't look that ugly," and was just like brutal with her. And then he said, "I got some chocolate in my pocket," and it's just a fucking tool bag. Just like the worst fucking dude in the world.
Isn't it weird how like the strongest women get the shittiest guys?
That's what we were talking about. It's because, and I think it's because and I used to do this. I had made a conscious choice when I started doing online dating that I was going to let a dude be nice to me because I had hung out with all these ball-busting comics for 20 years, right? And that's what men were to me.
Yes.
You know? And I was like, and that's what attractive men were to me. They were hilarious. They were ball-busting. They were mean.
Yeah.
I gave as good as I got.
Yeah.
And I do love those guys.
Yeah.
But I don't want to marry or be girlfriends with those guys.
I want to wake up with that guy.
Yeah, I don't want to wake up with that guy. And so, but I realized that I never got a boyfriend because I didn't want to have to protect him from those fuckwits. And I didn't want to have to protect him from my aggressive family. And then, so I made a decision. I was like, I'm going to let a dude be nice to me. And then I am just going to let him sink or swim and not protect him because he's an adult human being.
Yeah.
And so, I might have told you this already. The first time I brought Andy to meet my two easiest siblings to meet.
Yeah.
In Minneapolis, they have the best social skills. My brother Phil, my sister Darla. And I forgot that that's my home club.
Yeah.
So we're at Acme hanging around with Andy, and I'm like, oh, every fuck shop that is ever, you know. And so Mortal is sitting there with Lewis and a couple other comics, Dave Mortal, and the first thing Dave Mortal says to Andy Ashcraft is, "How's Jackie in the sack?"
Oh yeah.
I did tell you this.
That, yeah.
And Andy, bless his heart, grabs a chair, straddles it, and goes, "You want to know? Let's talk about it." And
oh my God.
All the guys start blushing. They all shut
They
down.
actually don't want to know how you are in the sack.
No, they don't. They want to know how I am on stage. They don't want to know how I am in the sack. And so, and it totally shut them down. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be fine.
That's
this
amazing.
is Andy's a grown-up man. It's going to be fine." And then he has more than once shut down one of my siblings, like my oldest brother Terry and my brother Russ. When they get into their political thing, Andy will have no problem going, "That actually isn't true. And that in my family, we constantly say things like, "What's your source on that?"
Oh no. Oh my God. The worst.
And anyway, so, but I think that I wish Roseanne would choose to let a dude be nice to her because I think it's a common women comic problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a regular
probably
comic
true.
problem.
You're just, and it is fun to have that sort of dark, horrible relationship with your male comic friends where you're just saying the worst things possible and it's no biggie. And then, but I can tell you having been with a couple guys where you feel like, oh, I'm with a less funny version, you know what I mean? Like I'm with a civilian funny versus funny, you know, when you're hanging out with a guy.
Oh, just normal guys who aren't comics.
Yes, but they're funny-ish for a non-comic,
right?
You know, and it feels like a letdown. Like I'd rather hang out with the brightest minds,
right?
You know,
but the thing is,
I don't know. I need a bright mind that's not in a comic body.
Right. Well, you need someone who's good at their own job enough.
Right.
That they're at a parallel level of your career, and I don't, not you specifically, but everyone. And in my opinion, is that because Andy is good at what he does.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with stand-up comedy. And whenever he wants to give me a suggestion about stand-up, about my act, I'm always like, well, that is an interesting suggestion. Anyway, I mean,
do you ever feel? Well, do
I ever feel like he's not funny enough? Or
yes,
yeah, no, because I knew going in that he wasn't a comic, so I didn't talk to him. And here's what he has done for me comedically: is that because he is very much. He's like, it's dad comedy. It's like, it's normal dude comedy. It's normal guy comedy where he's very funny, but it can be puns. It's silly. And he has made me appreciate silly more than I ever have. I used to be such a intellectual, turn the knob tighter and tighter to make the weirdest, most like Dennis. I loved Dennis Miller in the '90s for a heartbeat, and then I was like, oh, he's working too hard. And but it was that, and then. But
he does work hard, by the way, Dennis.
Very hard worker.
just the reference upon reference upon reference.
That's an enormous amount of work.
Oh fuck yeah!
David Feldman scribbling like a monkey with his typewriter, finding new references for him, and the memorization, and it's great.
Yeah,
it's
Andy's not like that.
He isn't like that. His jokes. And he's one of those, when you meet normal people who are kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And then when they say something, it's fucking dark and hilarious. He does that too.
Yeah.
So he's got that going. I didn't go in. I went in knowing he wasn't a comic and knowing that I wasn't, because I knew that all the comics that I had ever had crushes on were disasters.
Right, but they have to have the sensibility of a comic.
Oh, he loves my comedy.
Yeah. That's great.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And he's
I don't
super
know.
supportive.
I've always grown very quickly very irritated with C+ jokes coming from a boyfriend when
no,
I'm
Andy
hanging out
never
with-
does that.
I'm hanging out with A- minds.
Yeah,
to
there's
A+
no-
minds.
Right,
You know what I mean?
I totally. I mean, you're walking around with like Conan O'Brien. So
It's,
I mean,
it's hard to be around the
That.
fucking brains I'm around
Yeah.
5 days a week,
Yes.
and then hang out with somebody who is
right. He
just
doesn't,
regular.
He doesn't make
funny, you
right,
know?
He doesn't. There's
yeah.
no
it's
jokes.
I'm being ruined.
But well, no,
I'm
no.
being ruined on every
If
every
you go
level.
on a date with a guy and he starts telling you jokes,
or,
yeah,
or just trying
check,
to
please.
just trying to
Just
be
get the
funny.
fuck
I just
out.
feel like no, like
don't
I
try to
can't-
be funny. Yeah, Andy doesn't try to be funny. He tries to be. He's smart and interesting, and he is funny as a person. But what I would recommend for the world is to find someone who interests you and attracts you, and you're attracted to, and then the rest of it'll work out.
That's never gonna happen.
Okay. All right.
No,
Well,
I got in a fight
that's
with my
been
mom,
established. Yes.
just because it's too much. Because she was supposed to be going to my sister's house, like every couple weeks, flying up to Portland to hang out with my sister.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, the base is in Burbank, but then she's gonna make some
Right.
visits, and she hasn't done one yet.
Right.
The first one because of the chronic diarrhea, charming, and now that's okay.
Okay.
But her hip is
She's physically doesn't.
and she's fucking elderly, and it's not
Right,
not
it's a
easy to
pain in
hop
the
on a
ass.
plane.
Yes.
She can't figure out go to 7D, and you know what I mean. Like,
Right.
it's okay.
Right.
So it's just it's nonstop those giant green eyes staring at me, unblinking, and I'm getting insane.
I'm glad her
And-
eyes haven't faded in her age.
no, they haven't. They've gotten greener and
More
bigger because her
piercing?
skin is starting to peel back, and as it will when you're older.
Yes.
And so we had a fight, and I'm like, I'm never gonna have a boyfriend as long as you're here. And
Yeah.
she's,
How-
again,
now
she
get your shit and
insisted
go.
that she would stay in her room if I had a guy over, and I'm like, no, that's
not
how
that
guys
won't-
work, and that's not how I work, and I know, and
Right.
yeah. So I don't know what to do.
And you know what? You're not going to invite a guy over with your son there either.
No, not anymore.
Right.
he's too.
Right, he's too old.
Yeah.
Like when he was a baby, you're like, I'm going to go screw this guy. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And, but,
I mean, I theoretically I would have. I
Theoretically.
didn't, but I was open to it.
right. She said open to it.
So I had practice drills where my son slept through, but there was no guys there actually.
That's
Sadly,
hilarious. Oh my God. So,
but you can't have every part of your life working on full throttle all the time. That's what I tell myself. I'm like, look, I have a good career. I have comedy's good. My son's doing okay. That's okay. Maybe that's what I get.
Maybe
I'm
it
in
is what
good
you
health. Maybe that's what I get. That's fine.
Right.
I'll get laid when I'm 60.
well, I was just reading, Maria had some book about eroticism in the senior years.
Really?
Yeah, I was playing a board game over the weekend. We had guests, and then I got a new board game from my friend. I got it's the greatest for comics. It's so great, and for introverts,
Yeah.
people who aren't great at parties. It's called Bring Your Own Book. Is the name of the game. I got it at Westside Kids when I was in New York from my friend Jenny Bergman, and it is like apples to apples to some extent. Where do you know apples to apples? Whatever. It's there's one card and there's a
I might be
descriptive-
zoning out right now.
Okay, there's a descriptive word, and everyone has a book. Everyone has picked up a book that is in the house that you are in,
Okay.
and then you have to find something. Like the suggestion might be, what a tattoo would say.
Okay.
and then everybody has different books, and then you find, and then who picked that card gets to pick what's the funniest or the funnest or the most interesting or the most accurate.
That sounds fun.
It is really fun and super quiet.
I'd like to play it. I'm reading this book called Patty's Lament. It is unbelievably depressing and gruesome. It's this guy. It is
so fucking
amazing.
ridiculous.
It's
Between you,
describing the
yes.
famine, and first, he describes how the blight came almost overnight over every fucking potato in Ireland, and that's all the peasants were eating. The Irish Catholics, the tenants, okay,
Right.
the tenants on
serfs.
the land owned
Yeah.
by Protestants, and then he has a ton of eyewitness accounts that he, and it's
Right.
fascinating to me because
Yeah.
I just imagine, you're part Irish, right?
Yeah. Irish Catholic.
Are you guys are famine immigrants? Mid 1800s?
No. My grandparents came in the 20s.
Oh, during the Civil War. Even more interesting.
Yeah.
Or different interesting.
Right, but we never talked to them, so I don't know anything about it. So I'd love to know about it. So when you read that book, come on the Dork Forest,
Yes.
and talk to me about the history of Ireland and the famine. But
I
what?
have to talk to you
but tell
more
me now.
than already this?
Yeah,
You're
one
out of
more
your
time.
mind. No. I have enough conversations with you. My God. I don't have extra laying around.
on.
I don't have gold I'm sitting on. I bring everything I can.
Dork Forest, I don't talk back. You'll love that. that.
So, but the starvation, just the effects of starvation and how the British were like, oh, these Irish are so lazy. It's like, they're fucking dying.
Right, they're starving to
They're
death.
hot. Families are huddled together, too weak to lift their heads, and just dying in their little thatched cabins together. Horrific. And
Tearful.
I
Tearful.
can't stop reading it.
Can't
It's
stop
so
reading.
interesting.
Between you and Bamford and the genocide documentaries, I'm just like, is there a
Well,
reason? Is there any mystery? I
because
read romance novels.
that is a romance novel to me. It's death.
Death.
So I walked down the little road from the house that my great grandmother
Right.
left with her family
Right.
during the famine. Like I just can imagine, like, had walked it now, so I can
Yeah.
imagine them
Getting out.
walking.
Yeah.
How they walked? Did they how starving were they when they left?
How did they afford to come here?
I don't know. Sometimes the British tenants or the British landlords would pay the fare to go to Australia or America just to get out because they're trying to get rid of them. Honestly, Britain at the time was like they wanted the Irish to die. They thought there were too many of them. They thought that they were papists, and they were like, "Good. I hope
Right.
they're dying."
Right.
It's an
not one of their finest.
unprosecuted Holocaust.
It's an unprosecuted genocide for sure.
For sure. Oh, and then I get this newsletter called irishcentral.com. but they respect,
Nerd.
you know how
You don't mind if I check out? Go for it.
there's this, I think it's called epigenetic, but it's something where trauma is passed down in your DNA.
Okay.
And do you watch Transparent?
Nope.
Okay. It's really good. It's
Yep.
Jill Soloway's thing on Amazon.
Amazon
So she
Prime.
was exploring that this year, this season, about how the Holocaust, that fictional families from Holocaust survivors.
Okay.
And how that may have been passed down on the DNA. And
Oh.
now, so they've like found that that's true with
Okay.
Holocaust survivors. That's who they've been able to test, right? But this guy's speculating that famine survivors, that it stayed in the family DNA for 150 years.
The famine?
Yes. So
What does famine DNA do?
the starvation, the trauma of losing all of your family, part of your family.
Oh, it's like a psychological DNA
It's everything.
thing?
Yes. The
Your body
psychological, the
actually
physical trauma. I mean,
stays
the emotional trauma
generationally.
stays. Yes. That's why many children and grandchildren of Holocaust survivors might be more anxious. You know?
Oh, interesting.
That kind of a thing stays with you for a couple generations.
Right.
And so, like, I would be the first generation of the Irish side
Right.
to not have famine in me. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, my dad would be the last one born with it because it's
Okay.
within 150 years.
Right.
You're not part of the Irish side, but you
the
must
Armenian
have the
genocide.
Armenian genocide still
Yeah.
in your body
'Cause
and
I'm
in your
second
bones.
generation. Well, there's definitely I'm a runner for sure. I mean, if there's trouble, I tend to, and I'd rather be called. What did my dad say? I'd rather be called a coward than an idiot.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, if there's trouble, run. And if you can't run, distract, then run.
Yeah.
And so that was my upbringing. So so maybe that's it.
Because your grandparents were...
Both of my grandparents were in the
They fled
Armenian
the
genocide.
genocide.
Yeah. My grandmother was marched across Syria, and yeah, she only had funny stories. By the way, when I told her I did stand up,
Oh my God.
she was. I know. When I was 15, I was like, whatever, because I was doing a family tree thing for
Yeah.
school, and I was like, how come you never talk about these people? And she's like. And she burst into tears. I'd never seen her cry before. And
Yeah.
she burst and she said, they're all dead, Jackie. I never talk about them because they're sad. They all died on the march. And she said,
So she saw all these people die.
just all of her siblings died, except for she had two siblings who lived, and my great uncle Cebu and my great aunt Haganush, Helen.
Wow.
And but Cebu went back to the Soviet Union, and he grew up in the Soviet Union, and I have cousins in Yerevan. Wow. And then my aunt Helen went to Evanston. You guys. Anyway, it's Chicago.
As Evanston, Illinois, as attractive as the Soviet Union.
At the time, very much so. I think it's been gentrified within an inch of itself. But yeah, like
Wow.
she only told hilarious stories about the genocide. And I put them in my solo show when I did a solo show like a dozen years ago. But and I've never been able to work them into my stand-up. A bunch of that stuff I worked into my stand-up. But she had the greatest story about being marched across Syria, and the villagers would come out. They'd pass a village. The villagers would come out, like a parade. You want to come out and see what's going on outside
the
of
Syrian
town.
villagers.
The Syrian villagers.
And you guys the Armenians are being marched by the Turks.
Right, there's like one Turkish sergeant per 100. I mean, if they would have piled on that guy, they might have been able to be.
But they're not armed, and he's armed.
And he's armed. Yeah, so they didn't. So but
everyone's a big talker about
Right.
what they would do.
Right.
And then, you know what, if you look back in history,
Nobody's
some
ever
people
done
do
it.
fight back, but very few do. So maybe you aren't going to be exceptional and fight back
No,
either.
no,
Maybe
no.
you're going to be like, hey, I have a kid. This guy says I'm going to live if I march to here. Okay,
Right.
so he's going to lie and kill you. You don't know that. You're like, fingers crossed.
That's it.
And you can't imagine this. Oh, okay, whatever.
That's it. Well, so the villagers would go up to the women in line
Yeah.
and ask them their names.
Yeah.
And if you told them your name, they would go to the Turkish sergeant and buy you. And then you had to go with that guy into the Syrian village. And so my grandmother would tell the story, and she said whenever the guys would ask, I had to be 15 or 16. She told me the story. She said when I had to when they would ask me, I would throw rocks at them. She was explaining why I was so bad at dating.
Oh my God.
She was like, I would just throw rocks at them. I wouldn't tell them my name.
Do you have recordings of her?
Yeah, there's one recording. It's all in Armenian, but it's
yeah.
it's great.
That's
pretty
amazing.
Yeah, and then the other one was she said when the Turks came, when the army came and rousted them out of their town, which I think she was from Çomaklu and my grandfather was from Tomarza, and so the troops came, they rousted them out. She said there was still bread in the oven, and she goes, I still think about that bread. I bet you it burned. and then she said they had a donkey. She said the Turkish general in charge of their people, their village was actually. She said he was one of the good ones. And she said he let them bring their donkey, and her grandmother was supposed to ride that donkey. And she told me the story two different ways, and the second way was when I was an adult. And this is the true thing that happened. That donkey got stolen by the village priest so that he could ride it. And my grandmother was 16 at the time, and she took a 2x4 and beat him off of the donkey.
No.
Yeah, so that her grandmother could ride it. And
That
then,
is sweet.
wasn't that adorable?
That
Yes.
is awesome. And I like
There's no
how
hitting in grown-up land. Yeah.
you can just drop these Armenian names like it's no big deal, but you can't pronounce the last names of half the comics at Meltdown.
Well, let me just tell you something about Ahmed Barucha. Did I nail it?
No.
Nope.
You got the first name wrong that time.
Ahmed.
Yeah.
It's
You said
Ahmed
Ahmed.
Barucha. I did say Ahmed. Oh, well, I wrote it down. Ahmed's so nice. We played laser tag at Moon Tower.
Ahmed, she's trying so hard. Please give her a
Trying
pass.
so hard, you guys. Let's
She's
do the
a
comic of the
Holocaust
week.
survivor. Please, Ahmed, give her a break.
Ahmed's not. Ahmed, I still have it in my DNA, Ahmed. Know in your heart.
You do, though.
Yeah,
But isn't that I mean,
that is fascinating.
anyone, like, let's say, all right, so slavery ends in 1860, right?
No. 1863 was Emancipation.
1863.
Was Emancipation Proclamation.
So that's one form for African Americans. That's
Yeah.
one form that's stuck. That's saying
2 generations later.
at least three. Right. But then you've got the pile-on of slavery's done, but
systemic-
everything else is still
Yeah.
the same.
Everything's the same.
It stays in your DNA. I mean, I think it's important if that's true.
Yeah.
And it seems like it is. And
There's
a
studies,
helpful
right?
key to understanding yourself
Yeah.
is what's still lingering in your DNA. And I wonder if trauma's not as epic as that, but trauma's like a rape or something like that happened to
Right, it just
a
happened to
parent.
a parent.
If that stays in you, because
interesting.
you know what I mean.
Because you're raised.
Yes, you're raised by
nurture
someone who
had a horrible
whatever.
thing. Yeah.
Yes. And I wonder how long. I mean, it'll stay with how they personally treat you. But is it in their DNA that happened to them, and do they pass that on to you?
Huh.
And is that why we're comedians?
Well, and that is, I don't know, but my poli-sci degree is not up to this. That's all. That's all I know about that. You want to do comic of the week?
Yes.
It's we picked Gina Yashere, which you think it might be pronounced.
No, I think you're right. I think I
believe it.
chronically pronounce it Gina Yashiri.
Yashiri?
And I can't
It's-
stop.
Well, it's Gina Yashere.
But I will not.
She was on the Dork Forest talking. She was she fixed elevators for a living in London when she first started doing stand-up.
What?
Yeah, fixed elevators. How crazy is Gina Yashere?
Yeah, she's very funny. She's British.
Super funny British comic. Opened for Cat Williams.
Cat Williams.
Cat Williams and Cat
Kai
Stevens.
is crazy.
Yeah, she said he was slightly mad, but
Cat Stevens. I almost said Cat Stevens.
Right, you did. Well, you gotta.
Yeah, Gina's like 75 years old because he hasn't been Cat Stevens since 1941 or
I
something.
think his name is Ahmed Baruchka. So, but no, she's a great comic and she works her ass off. So,
Is she based out of New York now?
I think she is. She
I
was
see
here
her
for a while.
here, yeah.
She was here for a while, and that's when I met her. And I
Yeah.
saw her shows and stuff. And then I think she goes back to London.
Yeah.
It's like those comics from Canada who have to go back to Canada and make a living, so
Yeah,
they can come
yeah.
back here.
Oh, you're right.
And so she might have to go back to.
That's a good problem to
London.
have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive to go back to London, but
Right.
it's kind of cool to be like, I've got to return to Europe.
I gotta go back to Europe real quick.
I'll be back soon.
and make 10 grand. I'll be right back. And so, yeah. That. What do you got this week? Where are you going?
I don't even know. I think I'm
here.
just locally
And, yeah,
in
you're-
Los
you're-
Angeles.
yeah,
I'm
and-
doing some stuff here.
And you're here until New York, right?
This is unfortunate. It's not fair to you.
Oh, yeah?
But I'm going to Comic-Con.
Oh, that's right. No. Here's the thing about San Diego
of the
Comic-Con.
two of us-
You can go to Comic-Con. You can have Comic-Con.
It's huge.
It's too big.
Yeah, it is really big.
Yeah, it's too big, and I just went to that Indiana PopCon thing,
Yeah.
and it was super fun because it was 7,000 people, and you got to see nerds just separate, like basmati rice.
Yeah.
You got to see them separately. It was, and you could talk
I'm
to
knee
them.
deep in sticky rice.
You are knee deep in the biryani stuff from the Persians, where it's cooked to the bottom of the. Anyway, rice analogies for 1,000, you guys.
Yeah, I can tell you're Armenian. You're more Armenian than Irish when you're doing rice analogies.
Right, it's true. My potato talk is pretty brutal. It's lame. So you're going to Comic-Con, but
Yeah,
I think not this week, but next week.
We're doing shows at Comic-Con. So
That's neat.
we're going out on the Saturday before, and the Comic-Con shows are Wednesday through Saturday.
And you are staying in San Diego.
Yeah, we're staying in San Diego.
So
And
somehow
I was asked-
Conan got
Yeah.
hotel rooms.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm childless in San Diego. I've got a hotel room. Should I be hooking up every night with a different San Diego nerd?
You could become the sexual predator
That I've always
at the
wanted
bar
to
that
be.
you've always wanted to be. You will find a nice young man.
How do I do that? How do I do that?
I reckon. Well, you
Because
have
you-
to
you
either
get- you
be a
gotta
sexual
figure-
predator, which you are not.
I'm not.
Or you have to get super drunk and just go, "What do you think?" And which is what I did, which wasn't. It worked, but I could only do it like once a year because you take your life into your own hands.
You
'cause
really
you're
do.
Also,
I mean,
drunk.
I figure they're nerds, so the odds of them having STD are a lot lower, right?
Please use a condom.
Does your nephew have any left over from his childhood masturbation?
I think he might. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So yeah, you should definitely. You will meet nice guys, and then the thing is you might meet a dude in the costume that you've always wanted to make out with. Have you always wanted to make out with a pirate?
You know what? I want to make out in a very accurate Channing Tatum costume.
How about Captain America? Now you'll be able to find a Deadpool if you're looking for someone who's a little kinky.
Sure.
And you know
what though? It's weird. From what I remember last year, there weren't as many people dressed up. It seems like it's become the casual observer is also coming. It's not crazy people in costumes all the time.
It's got taken over big time by the movie industry and the TV industry. So it's not as many just regular kind of nerds and dorks. But there, I think you'll have a good time just because you will have a hotel room to retreat to.
Yes.
And you enjoy an adult beverage, so that might help.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I say
trying to get spots, of course. There's a lot of comics down there too.
Are there?
Like if you call up the Madhouse, they're like, yeah, we have 80. There's like a lot of comics hanging out at Comic-Con that want stage time places.
Oh, really? And
yeah.
so, but I think that there's stand-up comedy at Comic-Con too. There's a couple of, like in ballrooms and stuff.
Oh, cool.
I'll find out. I'll see if I can do that. You know what?
Thank you.
I put together this list. Did I send it to you? The list of New York shows.
Yes,
that I'm
yes.
Because I've been emailing it to different New York comics in an effort to get the right. And I just emailed it.
Nobody's organized like that.
Well, I just got the most flattering email back from young Rob Hayes. Do you know Rob Hayes at all?
So
he said I met him at that weird Nebraska Johnny Carson festival contest thing. Mm-hmm. He's really funny young black comic.
Yeah.
A New York guy, but I think Atlanta comic originally.
Yeah.
Haze. And he emailed me back and he said, "This is the most comprehensive list of alternative comedy rooms in New York. I can't really help you. This is helping me." And I was like, do you have email addresses for some of these people?" And he goes, yes, I can totally help you with that. And
oh, that's cool.
But it's the list is coming together. I've only initiated contact with a couple of places so far. But I liked because Kara Klenk last week said, make sure you know what night of the week the alt comedy, the show is happening, so that you can specifically say, I need August 4th or whatever.
I also, because I'm bringing my next trip to New York, I'm bringing my son with me.
Oh, fun!
And I filled out a form to do a White House tour if we can, because we'll be 2.5 hours from Washington D.C.
You'll go down to D.C.
for a day? Yeah, a day trip if we can. Yeah, I think so. You could.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe it's a 2-day trip, but
I
guess I should have done it like 3 months ago instead of.
Oh,
I should have done it 3 months in advance, and I'm doing it like 6 weeks in advance.
Right.
So the odds are kind of low.
But it might happen.
Yeah.
I got a White House tour one time because I did the Tig Notaro Benson Ball thing.
Oh yeah.
I got a White House
Does she still
tour.
have that?
I think she does. She every year I try to ping somebody and nobody cares. And feel free if you're listening. I'm available. And but the
you got to stop trying to get booked
on this
by
show?
throwing it out on the podcast. You can't
are
name
dreaming.
bookers
You
by
are
name
dreaming.
and go, hey, I'm available.
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm doing this podcast. What part of what?
The only reason
I need
I'm
the work,
doing
you
it
guys.
is there's like 28 female comics that listen, and
Oh, yeah, they're all excited.
They're all one of them, or
we have
maybe
tiny
all of them
stickers.
are the next Jesse Klein or Amy Schumer,
And you want to open for them.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
if you're going to you got a sketch on the boards, like with 2 lesbian grandmas, and you're trying to figure out if you can cast it or not, you can think of old Jackie and Lori, your old pals
The
here
old
in the
Jackie and Lori show.
in the Nerdist podcast room.
Yep. It's we never told anyone what our names were. People
What?
probably know now. In the beginning, you just said,
Oh, this is Lori Kilmartin.
I'm Jackie Cation. So
I think our theme song says our names like 600
over
times.
and over and over again. Yeah, I know it. It's
We have stickers.
we have stickers, and I accidentally ordered tiny LSD tab stickers of
These are
the
cute
images.
Yeah,
Those ones
but
worked out.
These aren't bad.
Those aren't bad. So
I yesterday
Paige Branson designed.
Oh, yeah.
and I sent the T-shirt to the producer here at
Katie?
at Nerdist, Katie Levine, and I have not heard back whether that T-shirt will happen. So She
Okay.
said that it would, but I'm sure her plate is full.
Yeah, it's 4th of July weekend, man.
Well, I didn't send it to her yesterday. I mean, it's
Got a lot
I was
going
like,
on.
"Hey, what's going on, you guys?" And
Besides
Oh.
the shirts that you and I will buy only. Yeah.
well, I lost it.
Okay, so I was on the train. I took the train to JFK.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
the first leg were between 125th and 59th Street.
Okay.
So these two girls get on, two young women get on. They plug everything in. They start playing a song. They sing. They're great.
Oh, good.
Give them $1. They're from Chicago. They're plugging a gig. I'm like, oh, this isn't annoying to me. I always think I'd be annoying if I'm like, hey, when
doing
you're
stand-up?
when you're doing selling any kind of merch, right?
Oh, right.
But when me as an audience member, I'm an audience member in the subway,
Yep.
in a car, and someone's singing, and if she were to bring out a CD she was selling, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, I get it, you're hustling, good for
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
and you're talented. Okay, so I gave the ladies $1. And then so they get off, and then a couple stops later, two male dancers get on.
Okay.
And the first one was so bad, it was unbelievable. He was just
Not good at it.
stomping. And it
Okay.
wasn't artful or anything. And I wished that he was at a nightclub and he had asked Marcella Arguello to dance and then started doing this in front of her
Why?
because she would
Eviscerated him?
murder him. It would, and then the next guy was really good, and his
Okay.
shoulders were dislocated. And
Oh,
so
weird.
he could do all this weird shit. I didn't give him any money because I was out of my singles, and I wasn't
You
going
would
to
give them a 5.
give
Yeah.
a 2-person dance team, half of which was awful,
Yeah.
a $5.
Yeah, that seems
When the ladies who are both talented got a 1.
exactly. It's so what it is you're not irritated unless whatever somebody's doing isn't good.
Yeah,
So you're
right.
like a normal audience member.
Sure. Yeah,
that
yeah.
That seems fair enough. That's okay. I remembered what I was going to say. Well, 2 things right now. You saw Hamilton's house. Which
Yes,
is on
it's right near
141st and-
my apartment. It's on
Oh.
141st and St. Nick.
I will take the train up there.
I've
and
already
stare at
been to.
that.
I took my kid to it a long time ago.
Oh,
It's
that's-
amazing.
You can tour it.
yeah,
inside? Oh,
yeah. It was closed because it was the 4th of July, but
Right.
normally their shutters are open and it is open for business.
Oh, I am on gift shop.
We're gonna
Okay.
do a podcast from my apartment.
That's right.
I'm so excited.
That's going to be fun in August. And then, so I got the late night set that I'm working on. I
Yeah.
sent them the set.
Hey, should we? You want to save
We're
this?
almost done. Well, I got enough for the next one.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. I got nothing for the next one.
Oh,
I'm
well,
just gonna
then-
comment on your rage.
Okay.
Tell me about your late night set.
Late night set said, "Well, you know what? That set's great. Can you send me a political set because of the political climate?" Or
do you
because of the
have a
election?"
political set?
I have maybe every single political commentary. I don't. Every political commentary I have it would be 6 minutes, would be 5.5 minutes, and it's so dark, not a chance.
Not on CBS.
Not a chance.
Yeah, not on a network.
Not on a network. There's the Scott Walker joke, which now has a Chekhov reference. Fantastic. The Paul Ryan date rape me in college joke. The mosque in South Milwaukee joke,
Yeah.
which has the best chance.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a button.
Yeah.
And then my dad and his being an ent. That's not a political set. Those are weird jokes, one-offs that I could bury in the middle of my act.
It's weird. Like, I wonder if it's almost if you could put it together.
Yeah.
It's a great advertisement for your brain and how you work, but you're not burning any material.
Oh, and not at all, because it's super tough. I mean, it's
Yeah. I don't know. But then,
Yeah.
if you want to show it to somebody 2 years from now,
I've
it'd
tried
be
to-
like having a set of Sarah Palin jokes.
Right,
You know,
and
now,
hilariously
like,
enough,
you don't want.
right. Hilariously, I've tried that set 3 times.
Yeah.
It just makes everyone sad. It doesn't make any. I mean, they laugh, but they're like some guy came up to me at Flappers, and 2 guys. One guy came up and he said, yeah, it's weird. The country's really weird right now. And I said, we're an empire in decline. Don't worry about it. And he was like, he just got sad and turned around. And then the other guy said, he was from Wisconsin. And he goes, you don't like Scott Walker? And I said, I have a public education. Why would I like Scott Walker? And he was like, well, you, and then he said,
he's anti-union and he's
anti-teachers union.
Yeah.
And he froze the cost of the University of Wisconsin recently, which is great. But for 11 years.
The tuition? Okay.
But he's done nothing, and he just cuts funding. That's what he does. And so the guy goes, yeah, but you got your good education, making him a caricature of a Los Angeles asshat. I was like, I got mine, so I'm supposed to not worry about the next. I want to talk to people who are smart at least 15 years from now.
Yeah,
Is that
I
something?
kind of worry about my audience now. It still is you worrying about yourself. I want my crowd to know what the fuck's going on.
Exactly. I think that's an hour.
All right. See you later.
Get out!
Now leaving Nerdist.com.